Thank you, Wilkie. I'm going to put this back in here. So should Dick need it or should John need it coming up next? It does come out, so please feel free to move the microphone. Next up are speakers for our second decade, 1976 to 1986, for those of you that are counting. Dick Grant has been coming to BBB since the early 80s and was Zone 6 rep from 1992 to 2003. It was a time when Dick had more BBBs, to his credit, than local members. John Mason has represented us as president in 1986, has organized BBBs, and has been on the Boise City Council. Please join me in welcoming Dick and John.
Bring your hat, your cane.
I got a book.
Notes? You gotta read that book.
Oh, I gotta read the book. Can we talk to this
Yeah.
first?
You go first. Come on.
Yeah, age before beauty, right? Anyway, it's a real nice, pleasant surprise to be able to stand in front of this group.
Just stand.
Oh, yeah, just to stand. Well, when I started thinking about what I'd like to say, dates and words sort of jump out at me. And I had to make notes because my memory's gone to pot on a lot of things. But 1966 was the year that this region was chartered. That was also the year that I took delivery of my one and only 911. I don't have the 911 any longer, but it is still in this region. So it's a member of this club to this day. I'm not. That car took a trip to Pittsburgh in '69, and I became a member of Allegheny region, and we were represented at the parade here in Sun Valley by Dan Rousey. And I don't know if Wilkie might remember the name Dan Rousey or not, but he was the region rep for the East Coast, and he represented me in Sun Valley. So I got to come. The other thing about the club, when I became when people look for club executives, managers, presidents, vice presidents, they run around in the wintertime with a mirror. And I got caught in Pittsburgh. So I breathed on the mirror and I was alive. I got to be president of Pittsburgh. Thank you. Yeah, right, got a phone. We arrived here in Idaho in 1980, and names like Dick Crowley stand out in my mind. Don Moore, they were running the club at that time locally, and I got caught up in doing rallies from here and there, here to Sun Valley, here to Jackpot, and the Jackpot rallies were kind of fun. By the time we got to Jackpot, everybody was drunk. Anyway, the other thing that I think about is that when in those early years, the panorama was a guide for keeping the cars running. Most of us were able to keep our cars tuned and running by the tips that we got out of the panorama. Nowadays, you can't find the spark plugs anymore. So those days were, that's what we used to keep us going. Here in Idaho, it was it was rallies, it was autocrosses, and it was social events. We did, I guess the things that stand out in my mind is when I think of rallies, I think of Dick Crowley. When I think of autocrosses, I think of guys that drive like their hair is on fire. And I think of John Brennan, and I think of Glenn Ingram. I don't know if anybody remembers Glenn Ingram or John Brennan. But those guys were wild. And the last thing I'll bring up is the social events. We had progressive dinners, and usually it took place in the winter time. And so you go from house to house to house for a different course, the meal. And by the time, it didn't take too long where it was difficult to drive. In wintertime, fortunately, in wintertime, there was sometimes snow in the shrubbery. I remember the Duggars at our house, and we ended up pushing people into the shrubbery to sober them up to get to the coffee and dessert. And then the growth of the wineries in the 80s, I remember a couple of trips that we got to talking about the changes in the cars, that they become really quite safe. There's all kinds of safety equipment in these new cars, the cars of the 90s. And I said, well, I've got the ultimate safety equipment in my 1967 car. I've got a passenger side airbag. And it yells a lot at me. Which brings us to my last comment. We did do a gimmick rally where we had to blindfold the driver, and the passenger would give the directions. They had to back into a spot, drive, and turn and make a turn around and drive into another parking space. And the driver was blindfolded, and it was by the direction of the passenger that all these moves were made. So that was the ultimate, and I think it was Mark and Linda that won that one, if I remember correctly. So I have enough. I think I've said enough. I'm going to let you have it.
I just want to know where you're going to sit.
I would have said in your chair.
I was afraid of that. I'm going to put on my ex-zone rep hat just for a minute. I hope that all of you had an opportunity to watch the video that was displayed, and Linda Brzezinski has done such a good job on it. I hope that you noticed that throughout that video, there were several repeat pictures of people who have been around this region for a very long time, who have been participating and running things and going to things, not just because of who produced the video, but the people that have spent time, money, and effort to make this region as successful as it is. And so I would like to take a second just to thank all those people who you see in the video, time and time again, who've been the core of this region for as long as I've been part of it. And I almost wanted to stand, and I wasn't going to stand until Vicki yelled at me. Because I've never really, honestly, been a member of your region, but I feel like I've been as close to being a member here as any other region that I belong to. And that started in 1980 at Bogus Basin. I've been a member of PCA for 4 years, and it was my first, well, it was my second region. I'd gone to a parade in 1978 in Aspen, and it was my first little adventure with about 8 or 9 people from Seattle to come to Bogus Basin. I was all excited about it. It was a lot of fun, and we drove down. We had plans, we had meetings, we did everything we're supposed to do. And the day before I was supposed to leave, Mount St. Helens blew up. Okay, so instead of doing the hypotenuse from Seattle to here, we did the other 2 legs because ash was all over eastern Washington. We got here, sort of stocked up, went up the hill, and again, I'm just a newbie, I have no idea. And it was snowing a little bit. Just a minute. It was snowing a little bit, and we got up the hill, and everybody said, well, you gotta stop. There used to be a grocery store right at the bottom of the hill. You gotta stop and get stuff. So we got food, wine, whatever we needed. Thank heavens we got the wine. We went up the hill, and it was snowing a little bit more. As we got to the top, it was snowing really pretty heavily. So there was a little consternation, and the next day, the wine got a little cold on the deck. We all went down to town, we did the rally, and then going back up, thank heavens, we stopped and bought some more wine. Because as we went up the top again, it was snowing, and it continued to snow, and I put a couple of bottles of wine on my deck, and by the time I went to bed, they were completely covered, including all the porches of the parking lot. And by the time we woke up the next morning, they were just little white lumps. And I'm pretty new at this. Wouldn't bother me now because I had the wine on the deck, and that's all I needed. Anyway, it snowed and it snowed and it snowed, so the hill cross was canceled. And nobody knew what to do. We couldn't get down because all the snow removal equipment had been put away for the summer. And we lost power. And so it was pretty exciting, actually. But the event still went on. In the lodge, we had an autocross using Dixie cups. And radio control cars, one of which was backwards, which was really exciting. If you went to turn right, you had to pull the left lever. And we had a dance, and we just had a really good party. And when we got, they found a guy that could drive a road grader. And they came up with a big yellow road grader, plowed the road down. Here's all the Porsches going down. Thinking, oh, God, they would make it. We got down, and we found out, guess what? Mount St. Helens blew up again, which wiped out our 2 legs to get home. Because there was ash all over Oregon, all over Washington. I don't think it never got to Idaho, did it? Okay. So we reconnoitered at a hotel downtown and tried to decide how we're going to go home. One of our party had to go straight through eastern Washington the diagonal way. 3 or 4 of them went to Portland and stayed with friends. And 3 of us, Don Murray, and Ruth, Dick Lynn and Judy, and me, decided, well, what the heck. We drove up from Boise up to Stanley, through Salmon, into Canada, across Canada 3, to Vancouver, turned right, or turned left, came down, got home. It took us 2 days. Now, when I got home after that trip, and one of the reasons I feel so close to Silver Stage region is I decided, after 4 years of being a member, that if a group could be creative enough to make a fun weekend out of disaster, that these are kind of people I want to be associated with. And so that's why I feel very close to Silver Sage region. I enjoy coming here. I spend as much time here as I do in my local region. And I just want to thank you all. You kind of changed my life as far as PCA is concerned. After 12 years of zone repping and all the things I got to do and was able to do because of that weekend that you provided me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dick and John. For our third decade, our speakers are Bob Pentecost and Mike English. Do I really need to introduce them?
No.
Okay, I'll just sit down. Bob,
Turn the mic
Mike,
off.
come on up.